2026. So I kind of knew I kind of knew what was going to happen. But also it's because Drew McIntyre and Oba kind of have unfinished business. But as far as Oba Femi vacating his NXT championship, uh, dude's main roster bound now, and I'm kind of fearful about that because I see how people are in NXT, and then I see how like it's a systematic breakdown sometimes to where they'll bring you, they'll have you on the main roster, they'll have you on NXT, then they'll bring you to the main roster, they'll call you up, and then they'll like systematically break you down, they'll water you down to try to humble you, and then they'll make your booking kind of 50-50 to make sure that the crowd doesn't really get fully behind you because they still have people they're trying to push on the main roster. And then they'll have you lose a bunch. Then they'll try to ruin your credibility and your aura by having you have funky booking. And then they'll build you back up after people kind of think you're average when you're better than average, but they'll have the people thinking that you're nothing special, and then they'll build you up from there, probably give you some gold, and then if you stay in the top's good graces, they'll kind of pad your booking a little bit, and if not, then they'll just kind of dispose of you, give you 50-50 booking, and then release you. So for Oba Femi, I don't know, but I truly believe that I think more positive things will happen for him on the main roster than negative. But yeah, he vacated the championship this week, earlier this week, and hopefully, because uh, Raw it kind of needs new faces, but so does SmackDown because they moved it. They changed it to 3 hours, which I don't think is a permanent thing. I heard that they're gonna change it back to 2 hours later this year, but Oba on Raw would be good. We can get matches like Oba versus Sheamus, Oba versus. I mean, I would say Rusev, but Rusev is buried. He's ruined beyond belief. Um, Rusev versus Gunther, Rusev versus Braun, Rusev versus Oba versus Braun, Oba versus Brock, Oba versus Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed. Man, I'm over here 7 o'clock in the morning just butchering these. But yeah, we can have a bunch of dream matches. Um, but stories would kind of enhance that. But nowadays, people just focus on the matches and not stories, and wonder why they forget about the matches and making moments and all that. But um, regardless of all that, I think that SmackDown would be a good fit for Oba, but that's just because Drew McIntyre's there and they have unfinished business from WrestlePalooza because Drew McIntyre interfered in Oba's match with Cody Rhodes at Saturday Night's main event. And I think that, if they make the right decision to have Drew finally dethrone Cody like he was supposed to at WrestlePalooza September 20th, 2025, that would be a great thing for Oba and Drew because Drew would finally have something outside of Cody Rhodes as far as a rivalry is concerned and a story, and Oba Femi would have something fresh and new as soon as he comes in onto the scene for the main roster. I think that'd be great. Oba versus Drew for the WWE Championship. I think that would be great. I think that'd make a lot of I think that'd make a lot of money. I think that'd make a lot of fans happy. Um, That'd be great. I'm not saying Oba should win the championship as soon as he comes back, as soon as he arrives on the scene, because that'd be Drew being done dirty, and Drew has been done dirty since the, the beginning of 2025, since he lost to Jey Uso, and then it's just, and then his Bad Blood 2024 spot was taken up by The Rock for the main event, and then didn't really lead to anything. So Drew and LA Knight both deserve better, but hopefully Drew defeats Cody Rhodes to become WWE champion, and hopefully Oba will have something going in and not just destroy Jobber this week, destroy Jobber that week, destroy Jobber this week, has a program with somebody, they say some words, they have a bunch of matches on Raws or SmackDowns, and then they have a pay-per-view match, but nobody really cares about the pay-per-view match because we've seen the match already. Hopefully Oba has something starting, like just hopefully he hits the ground running. I truly hope that's the case because Oba Femi, it'll take it'll take effort to ruin Oba Femi on the main roster. It'll take talent and dedication, hard work plus patience to ruin Oba Femi on the main roster. But I do believe it can be done because look what they did to Julia. Look what they did to Shinsuke. Look what they did to Finn Balor. Look what they did to so many people. But yeah, I really hope that's not the case. Oba Femi is a generational talent. He's a monster. He deserves a certain treatment, like not just any other regular, Joe Schmo, but something just something strong. Especially coming in, people already care about him. He already had his main roster appearance already, and it's like he's been on the main roster for years already. So hopefully that goes well. Hopefully they do something with him. I mean, if it's because Raw barely has any. I mean, like I said earlier, Javon Evans, he's the only black males wrestler who's a black singles wrestler on Raw, and then and we have R-Truth, we have Carmelo Hayes, and we have Trick Williams on SmackDown. But also another reason why I don't want. I'd rather not have Oba on SmackDown is because we run the risk of having Trick versus Oba again. I don't want to see that again. I don't want to see it. I'd rather not see it again. It was good while it lasted, but I'd just rather Oba start with something new. Hopefully, the only good thing that can come from Oba being on SmackDown is a rivalry, a generational rivalry with Drew McIntyre. So which brand do you think the ruler would be a part of, Raw or SmackDown? Let me know if you want him on Raw or SmackDown and tell me why, because that'll be interesting to know your opinion on it. But yeah, it's about it really. That's about, that's about it really. I'm keeping all this in too.